Illinois House Speaker facing corruption charges in federal courts. Prosecutors alleging that, well, he conducted a nearly decade-long scheme of bribery and self-dealing in trying to curry favor from Commonwealth Edison. We've been waiting a long time for this trial, and it's happening up in Chicago. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop, and let's connect now with Jim Talamonti, a reporter with the Center Square, one of my colleagues, and he's been in this trial from the get-go. But it's been slow going so far. We haven't even gotten to opening statements yet from the prosecutors or the defense. So, Jim, thanks for taking time with us this morning, and tell us what you've seen so far covering the situation in Chicago.
Good morning, Greg. Yeah, it's great to be here. And I think at one point in some of our exchanges amongst us while I was in the courthouse, at times the process has been painfully slow. And the jury questioning did pick up a little bit, but at the rate we're going, we may not have opening statements next week. This could push into the following week. Monday is a federal holiday, whether you still call it Columbus Day or whatever other name you want to use. So there won't be a court Monday. Right now there are 8 jurors seated. The judge, John Robert Blakey, was pleased that they're actually able to seat 5 yesterday, despite the slow pace of questioning. So that gets us to 8. But you need 12 for the jury and 6 alternates. So this is still going to take some time, likely at least 2 or 3 more days, at least at the pace we're going. And the defense attorneys in particular have taken a long time with questioning. They've been trying to, and the judge actually pointed this out at one point. He said, I know you're trying to build rapport here, but we've had questions of prospective jurors about their favorite flavor of frozen yogurt.
When I saw that in one of your reports, I scratched my head. I'm trying to understand that one in particular. What was that about? Was that just niceties, or did it have something to do with the case?
Well, the juror did. They asked her what she liked to do with her free time, and I like to hang out, and I like to go get something to eat. Frozen yogurt. And so what's your favorite flavor? So there was, and generally the prosecutors have been a lot more efficient, but they at times too. There was a question from one of the prosecutors. The prospective juror mentioned that he liked the Doctor Who. Well, what's your favorite Doctor Who movies? I'm thinking to myself, this is costing us taxpayers to all be in this courthouse every day, and so we're dragging this out. Like I said, there were some prospective jurors who were up there for well over half an hour, especially the first day, Wednesday, of the jury selection process. So it picked up a little bit yesterday, but it's taking a long time. But there have been some interesting exchanges.
I'd like you to also, if you could, tell us what the sentiment from the potential jurors has been. Have people been reticent to take part in a trial like this, or are people gung ho about it? And either way that goes, are those ones that are gung ho being chosen, or are those ones that say they don't want any part of this being chosen?
Yeah, there have been, I'm surprised, there have actually been very few who've gotten up and said, I really don't want to do this. I'm doing it because it's my duty and that kind of thing. But there have been fewer than I thought. There have been fewer who've gotten up there and fewer than I expected would be doing their best to get out of it. There was one prospective juror who was walking in and told me he should have brought his MAGA cap. He should have brought his Make America Great Again cap, because he's very anti-Madigan. So I suspect he won't be selected. There were questionnaires, 88 questions on this questionnaire that jurors filled out ahead of time.
Wow.
To whittle this down somewhat. And so there have been checks and challenges based on those questionnaires. So some of those people won't even get onto the stand in the courtroom. But there have also been some who are very excited that they've never been involved in this. They want to learn about the process. Fewer than I thought have knowledge of Michael Madigan. They may have heard the name, but not many. There have been a couple here and there who said, I know he's powerful, or I know he was involved. There were connections with the ComEd case. There have been some questioning. There's been some questioning about that. But you would just think, again, maybe just because we cover this stuff when we're more into it than most people, that to me, I mean, the name, especially if you're of a certain age, I mean, he's been synonymous with Illinois politics for the better part of 50 years. And so there are some people who did not know, were not, or at least they said they were not aware of his name, did not have any idea. And that surprised me quite a bit.
Talking with Jim Talamonti, a reporter for the Center Square up in Chicago for the Mike Madigan trial. It's ongoing with jury selection. A lot more jurors to be selected, of course. But you've talked with a lot of different sources leading up to this. One being State Representative Kelly Cassidy, a Democrat from Chicago. And she, years ago, had kind of been at the receiving end of, I guess, kind of what Madigan Enterprise and their tactics were. Talk about that.
Yeah, she said she was harassed. And now, again, she said all this after, things were starting to come out about, alleged harassment and abuse among people in Madigan's circle, right? This wasn't back in the early years when nobody dared challenge Madigan, right? But
yeah, this was
but
around 2017, if I recall, during the Me Too movement, and there were a lot of allegations of staffers being harassed by leaders in Madigan's office. Madigan vehemently denied that, and then he said that there were investigations and so on. But Cassidy, being a state representative, felt some pressure and even had some consequence.
Yeah, I mean, I would, a lot of people today would call it bullying. She was one day she was walking through the Capitol, and one person after another, people who were supporters, she said, mentioned union people, other allies, would come up and ask her if she was supporting Bruce Rauner, then Governor Bruce Rauner's turnaround agenda, which, Cassidy being a pretty far left Democrat was not, but they run after another. People came up to her and she said she thinks they knew. She even believes the Madigan people knew she wasn't with Rauner, but she said it was just a way to intimidate her, a way to let her know who's in charge, right? And so these things happened on several occasions, and these kind of tactics. And so here's someone in the party, right? But because she had dared to speak up about the alleged allegations of sexual harassment and intimidation, and that there be investigation, that something be done, she was going to be, advised, so to speak, that she was going to be put in her place. Okay, you don't, stay quiet. And so she said, well, at that time they knew I wasn't going to be pushed around, but she also talked about Michael McLean.
I was going to say, yeah, because Mike McLean here, he's a co-defendant in Madigan's case, and they even tried to be separated from Madigan's case. Some allegations that maybe Madigan's defense is going to say this is all on Mike McLean, and maybe McLean's defense saying that, oh, this is all on Mike Madigan. But Cassidy recalls having some run-ins with McLean.
Yeah, early on, she says he tried to. She wasn't sure what term to use, but she said kind of befriend me. She said, and he sent her a personal check and a handwritten note saying she may have a great future or be a potential leadership person. But she said that all ended very quickly when I showed I wasn't going to be controlled. So again, a little easier for her to say now after the fact than before all of these things started happening, and kind of the Madigan fortress started crumbling a little bit, but still the tactics, as she said, and she's not the only one who's made these, who said these things about the Madigan circle, right? And I mean, people who ran against Madigan in Democratic primaries would have there were all kinds of allegations of things happening with their signs being taken down, with
even flooding phantom candidates flooding the ballot with others,
with
the whole Jason Gonzalez deal too. Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
the Gonzalez. There was another year when there was somebody who had almost exactly the same name as the person who was challenging Madigan was on the ballot. But anyway, yeah, Cassidy had her run-ins, and she wasn't the only one, but she was one of the more vocal ones. And a lot of the stuff, even now, as she talks about, so wow, this was pretty intense. And again, someone in the same party. So
yeah, pretty incredible stuff. And then, of course, you've got others that you've been talking with. David Parker, a professor at St. Xavier University. He says that the judge is moving this as best they can, considering how high profile of a case this is.
Yeah, he's been, Professor Parker's very talked about how he handled the the attempt by the defense to get these counts thrown out based on that the case involving the Portage, Indiana mayor, that this is a gratuity. This isn't bribery. This is a gratuity, and that could still come into play, as our colleague Brett Rowland wrote in a story at the beginning of the week this week, that it could come into play in an appeal process. But in this case, no. So these counts are standing. These counts are going to be dealt with. 23 counts against Madigan. And it's been interesting to see that for the most part, the two separate defense teams, Madigan's got his table with about 5 people along with him, and then McLean's got 4. Let's see, 1 fewer at his table. There's only one case when they've made a challenge to strike potential jurors. There was only one case where Madigan's team did not go along with McLean. You can see there's been some effort to separate the two, and the questioning's been a little bit different from the McLean team versus the Madigan team. There have been more questions about lobbyists from the McLean defense attorneys. And do you have negative feelings about lobbyists? Well, quite a few prospective jurors have said they have. And if they say that, then of course, then the questioning continues. And whereas in the Madigan case, there have been more questions about Madigan, the name, about longtime politicians or politicians for life. Do you have negative feelings about this, given that Madigan was in office for 50 years?
Right.
And then also about job recommendations, because again, one of Madigan's defenses, again, trying to get these thrown. Well, these were just job recommendations. This wasn't bribery or racketeering. This was just a job recommendation. Job recommendations are okay. So, but prospective jurors are being asked, how do you feel about, have you been recommended for a job? Was this a good thing? Was this, that kind of thing? So that's, I think we're seeing some of these things that are going to come into play during the trial.
And that trial could start again sometime next week once they get all the jurors and alternates placed. And I'm looking forward to talking with you more as this progresses, and especially after we see some more evidence being entered, be it wiretaps, be it undercover video, the whole shebang. Yeah, there's going to be a whole bunch. So Jim Talamonti, reporter at the Center Square, greatly appreciate you taking the time this morning, and we will connect again in the near future as you continue your reporting on this, what could be an 11-week trial. This is week number 1 wrapping up, but we'll obviously stay close to what's going on there next week. Jim, appreciate your time.
Thank you, Greg.
All right, it is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell with America's Talking Network, and join us each and every weekday morning as we break down things you need to know for Illinois.